stairs with his companion on Mondays. The reason that video goes viral is not because it demonstrates anything, but rather because it reduces the number of possible answers. Narrowing is crucial when using the internet. Imagination fills in the blanks once viewers believe they know where to look. Threads grow in number. Interpretations solidify and theories build. What becomes more intense, the lack of counter-narratives, is the pressure. Tamar stays silent on Funky's rendition. Supporters argue over whether it's a sign of avoidance or protection. Speaking, according to others, would only make matters worse. Others maintain that silence permits conjecture to solidify into presumptive reality. The notion of a career in jeopardy gains traction in public discourse as a fear rather than a judgment. Regardless of the facts, some contend that being associated with an unresolved debate carries risk. Sponsors take a moment. Collaborators are hesitant. Viewers change. Uncertainty in entertainment itself may be harmful. People start bringing up previous instances of popular personalities whose careers halted, not because they were shown to be incorrect, but rather because stories were never rectified. Fan communities are alarmed by this resemblance. All of a sudden, one night is no longer the topic of discussion. It has to do with long-term consequences. Another emphasis area is Funky's emotional state. When his voice strains or cracks, viewers notice it and perceive it as an indication of authentic hurt, as opposed to showy rage. Mendeecees sounds deceived, not only by Tamar, but also by being pulled into a storm that he claims he never requested. This framing appeals to viewers who believe secondary harm is frequently disregarded. The notion that those who are close to controversy can have their reputations damaged without having any agency is a topic of discussion in and of itself. In this story, Funky is both a witness and a victim. The internet begins to view Funky comments as a turning point rather than a revelation as rumors increase in volume. His remarks, according to commenters, did not spark rumors. They give credence to the notion that there might be something important enough to conceal. The influence of the notion takes precedence above its fairness. As supporters relive Funky's acceptance of the moniker, the tension rises. Disorganized, instead of seeing this as disobedience, many see it as resignation, a decision to even if it has social repercussions. Some people praise him for that choice while others condemn him. However, discussion won't end quietly. In the interim, discussions on rumors connected to getting more intense. Viewers are cautious to point out that Funky never verifies any reports. However, pundits contend that it is almost impossible speculation once it enters public debate. The morality of disseminating such misinformation becomes a contentious issue. Fans are widely divided. Some contend that the true problem isn't the rumors per se, but rather how ambiguity permits for them to prosper. Music others maintain that individuals who promote unsubstantiated claims are accountable. The discussion becomes more philosophical, addressing issues of responsibility, privacy, of celebrity. Mendeecees doesn't say all of this. Every discussion thread feels his absence. Some admirers think that quiet is strategic, directed by management or legal counsel. Some interpret it as an indication or shock. Tension arises instead of a consensus. The narrative has now transcended persons. It becomes about structures, how stories are constructed, how silence is understood, and how it may obscure reality. When rumors start to gain traction, viewers become frustrated. The public's perspective nearly completely ignores the truth. Uncertainty is the emotional burden of this stage. Who will speak next? I'm not sure if not being aware of the extent of the harm already done. Unresolved tension is seductive, which is why audiences stay glued rather than expecting explanations. And as the story progresses, one truth emerges to viewers. Reputations are already changing, even in the absence of verification, accusations, or comments. What transpired that evening is no longer the question. The question is whether anyone can prevent the story from determining the result. The discourse takes on a new significance when the hours stretch into days. It is now driven by the gradual awareness that something irrevocable might already be occurring rather than shock or intense emotion. Viewers start to realize that the tale is still progressing silently and discreetly in ways that don't need to be confirmed, even if nothing new is mentioned. To make an impression, consequences that don't make headlines start to dominate online conversations. People complain about unanswered calls, discreetly postponed appointments, and how an uncertainty alone has the power to alter someone's treatment in private. Commenters contend that controversies don't necessarily harm people's careers. Unresolved issues that affect decision-making can occasionally harm them. Uncomfortable for creators. This is when the narrative about Mendeecees sharpens. Nor as a villain, nor as a proven offender, but as someone who is suddenly in danger. Supporters deny that he did this. They claim that he might be harmed by this. They make assumptions on networks, sponsors, partners, and how a connection to controversies could change people's opinions. Although the phrasing is guarded, the concern is clear. Simultaneously, viewers return their focus to Funky's remarks with fresh vigor, to reevaluate intent rather than to derive new meaning. Many now think that
Miami, Tootsie rolling and having a good time.
Before the words even reach the floor, the room is silent. You can sense the tension in the air as Funky leans forward and pauses. This isn't the energy of gossip. This is private. He tightens his voice. His voice becomes more acerbic. Then he says it plainly, without hesitation or courtesy. Paul Liner is a liar who has made it apparent that he is no longer holding back. He is lying about what actually happened, according to Funky, who is furious. Everything changes at that point because it's more. This commentary is not ambiguous. Funky is clearly frustrated as he publicly rejects the version of events that Tamar recently presented to the world. Social nets. Go up. After silently in the background, viewers watch and begin making on the internet one question right away. Why does Funky sound so irate, so particular, so exhausted? Moreover, more significantly, what does this indicate about the rumors that have already been circulating regarding Tamar Mendeecees and the purported events of that evening? As Funky goes on, he ends Tamar's account, but also destroys its tone. The birthday narrative, the ambiguity, and the notion that she is unaware of what transpired. Viewers claim that because Funky is speaking as someone who was present and feels pulled into the media, rather than as someone who is guessing. He claims he never requested a storm. When someone calls you out on it, you do just enough to be able to say, Funky says Mendeecees and his friend were the ones who went upstairs with Tamar. You began by asking, are you aware of what actually happened to you? No, I'm not. Or can you talk about it? I can talk about it, but just saying that makes the internet go crazy, going into overdrive. Reactions fill time. Some viewers claim that this clarifies everything. That bothers me. That bothers me greatly because I'm telling you straight up that you were a bold-faced, bald-headed goddamn liar. All right, that evening. Others, let's pretend it opens an unclosable door. Older speculations concerning reports, consequences, and even an arrest involving Mendeecees' name suddenly come back. Nothing official, but it's hard to deny that the harm is and Funky acknowledges he will be portrayed as sloppy for speaking up. According to Funky, he may be perceived as messy. Silent noise once those words are posted online. Accept it. Remain silent. Remain silent. Fans are left with a question that no one wants to publicly address. Did Funky just reveal the pressure that exists behind the scenes? And is this the reason that Mendeecees' career is being discussed all of a sudden? It seems to be dangling by a thread. The damage spreads gradually and silently, much like stress does when individuals understand something cannot be undone. Come see us at Sauce. I drive over to Sauce and say, y'all, I really don't want to go. When I receive the after Funky's remarks become viral. Viewers stop paying attention to volume when Zoe calls and says, Tamar said just leave your car at her house and we going to go to V1 too. They emphasize intent, the body language, tone, and the intervals between statements. Social media reactions indicate that this didn't feel like someone seeking attention. It seemed like someone reacting to coercion. Funky's assurance that he never desired any of this publicity is what fans notice right away. He presents the incident as something that occurred between friends and that he would have wished to keep quiet. However, in his own words, the issue is the story he thinks Tamar decided to publish. The audience starts to replay the point at which he speaks to her directly and expresses his disapproval of the way she portrayed herself as unclear, confused, or wronged. When Funky responds to Tamar by claiming she doesn't know what actually happened, the incident gains attention on the internet. In the comment sections, fans contend that the interpretation of the entire issue is altered by this one interaction. Some claim that Funky seems to be criticizing biased narrative. Some claim he seems truly wounded, not performative. Most people concur that this isn't lighthearted criticism. It's a gradual accumulation of frustration. Funky goes one step further and takes viewers through the night in question using specifics like times, places, and decisions rather than feelings. Viewers claim that this is the point at when the mood becomes investigative. He explains how plans were altered, how the internet reacts strongly to his frequent expressions of yearning to return home, and the shifting places because details lend credibility to stories, even when they are contested. Funky tells why he was requested to get out of his car and go somewhere else. Fans start reinterpreting earlier rumors that were written off as unfounded or ambiguous when that video goes viral. It has been verified. There is no proof. However, the specificity encourages